Hi, I'm Steven. That's John. We're from Just Got Played, and we're bringing you MrX's top 25 games of all time. Although I guess at this point, we're bringing you the top 5 games of all time because we're talking about number 5 on the list today. So what is this top 25 games of all time? So you can go back and watch the first video that we did in this series if you want to learn more about it. But essentially, I got a bunch of top 50 lists from a bunch of people, and I used an algorithm to distill it down to this aggregated list. So again, today we are talking about number 5, and number 5 is Mechs versus Minions. So Mechs versus Minions is not new to this list. In fact, it's been on the list several times. In 2017, it was number 6 on the list. In 2018, it was number 1. In 2019, it was number 1. In 2020, it slipped to number 2. And then 2021, it came back to number 1. And, well, it's slipped a little bit again, I guess, number 5 today. But hey, that's pretty good. So Mechs vs. Minions is from Riot Games, and it's based on a video game IP. And this game sort of came out of nowhere. Giant production, big box, beautiful bits. And it came out at a really reasonable price point. I think even now today, it's like $99 shipped or something, which for this game is a really good price because of everything that's in the box. Essentially, I'll say it's a campaign game. I mean, it's sort of like a legacy game, but you don't destroy anything because you have a character and you level it up by putting, giving it different cards as you go through the game. And the cards, you program them on these slots. So it's a programming game and you're just going to execute your program every round and your program's going to change. You can change up your program, evolving it, putting other cards down, changing what they do or making things more powerful. But also your program's going to get screwed up by damage that you take. And that's always fun. And so, some people, they don't like programming games because they know exactly what they want to do. And then other people do other stuff and they get in your way and they mess you up. People are very divided on games like, say, Robo Rally, right, which is a programming game. But the interesting thing about Mechs versus Minions is it's a cooperative game. So nobody is trying to screw you up. I mean, people will still get in your way. People will still screw you up. Things will happen that were unexpected. But essentially there's a scenario that you're playing every time and you've got your guys and your mechs and you're trying to fight all these baddies and then do something, move a bomb or kill the bad guy or just clear out all the minions or, whatever each scenario is. There might be, 15 or 16 scenarios. I can't remember exactly. But yeah, and it's cooperative and you're going to draft cards every round or at the beginning. You're going to draft cards to put on your programming thing. And some people, I think in the book, it says to do that in real time, I think. So you can't spend a lot of time thinking about it. I know some people don't do it that way. They just, sort of pick what they're getting. So there's, some interesting stuff there. There's some variety there. There's a campaign. So there's some variety there. Each individual game doesn't really overstay its welcome. There is randomness in the game with cards and how they come out. And, so you can get in situations where, like I remember in the last, well, I don't want to spoil it, but in the very last thing, randomness sort of made it very hard for us to win the last scenario. At least one time when we played it, we did eventually win all of the scenarios. But and that just happens. But I don't mind so much when you get messed up by randomness if the game isn't too long and if it's cooperative, right? You don't just feel like, well, I lost to John because I had a bad roll or whatever, it's just like, well, we won or lost altogether with some good or bad luck. Well, that just seems not as bad to me. But if you've got all these minis for the minions, the mechs, you got these boards, the campaigns, you got everything. There's some extra stuff that you unlock in the box as you go on. Right. And so very high production, very fun. It's not legacy, so you don't sort of destroy it. So I can play it again now that I've finished the campaign. In fact, it is a big box, so I am keeping it and I am storing it with the rest of my games, even though it takes up the space of 2 to 4 games. But because I hope to play it with my kids someday, right? And I can do that by just resetting the I think it was envelopes, right? The new cards you get from the envelopes. So you can just, sort of reset that. You just say, well, this card, I'm not supposed to have this shit. All right, whatever. So no big deal. So I'm hoping to play this with my kids one day once they show a little interest in programming games. Yeah, I mean, you could just one-off play a scenario anytime you want to. That's fun as well. You don't have to play it as a campaign to have fun. And it's more fun if everybody plays the same character every time and you play the campaign that way, but you don't have to. So John, are you familiar with this game at all?
Yes, I owned it for a long time. I played through it, say probably about half of it. The same thing struck that has taken a lot of games down my list, and it was just couldn't get it to the table anymore. So I've started to call games that I like, but I just can't get to the table. And unfortunately, in my play group, it just campaign games and legacy games fall apart because it starts feeling like homework to people, and it just doesn't work. But the game itself is fantastic. I've played League of Legends for a long time, and the character models are really well done. All of the figurines and the boss are really high quality. The look of it, the fact that you basically have a dossier for each campaign that you pull out of a manila folder kind of thing. The presentation of it is really fantastic, and it's really easy to get into. It's not bogged down with a bunch of rules and frustration, stuff like that. It's just really easy to teach. Like you said, if you don't even like the real-time aspect of the drafting, just don't do it. There's a little hourglass timer in there. Just don't use it and draft the cards normally. So I'd say it's the campaign / legacy game that has the easiest buy-in for anybody whatsoever, and it's a good bridge between people that play video games and people getting into board games. So there's so many areas that this game is just the perfect niche for, and just the high production quality of it alone, it's absolutely a game that I recommend everyone try at least once. And I think if you do, you'll actually really enjoy it. Probably want to play through the campaign.
Yeah, so the video game IP was League of Legends, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I haven't played League of Legends. I didn't know the IP. I just saw the game and thought it was fantastic and played it, and I really enjoyed it. So it's not one of those games where you sort of need to know the IP to appreciate the game. And I think they recently came out with a League of Legends cartoon, like on Netflix or something, that my kids watch too. So now maybe is the right time for me to pull it out again. I don't know.
They're really branching out into multimedia areas. I think we haven't seen the last of them board game wise as well. They're really taking this fantastic world they've created, and they're just putting 100% effort into formatting it in other medias. And every time they do, it just comes out really well. So I'm excited to see what they come out with next. Everything so far has just been absolutely on point as far as what they were doing. So it's a really good game, really fun to play with people, and I'd recommend it heartily.
Yeah, it's a little surprising to see a game that is, a campaign or a legacy style game or anything like that this high on the list, because, a lot of times people will play those games and they'll be like, oh, that's fantastic. And it'll be really high on their list. And then over time, it just sort of starts to fall because people, you don't play it again, right? A lot of legacy games, people don't play it again. A lot of campaign games, people are like, I don't want to pull that out and start a whole campaign over, but this game, right, top 5 for several years here, including number 1 3 times. So it's cool that this game keeps staying up here at the top of the charts, despite getting a little long in the tooth at this point, as far as the hobby games go anyway.
Risk Legacy is one of my favorite games of all time. I've bought 3 copies of it and I've never finished one. It's the nature of these games sometimes, but this one is just easily the most accessible and the most impressive graphics wise.
Yeah. This one, I did have a group, which wasn't just inbuilt. My family, we could play anytime we wanted, right? I had to get people together and get over to my house to play the game. But it went so well that, one, I thought it was worth it to try to keep with that group, and those people liked it enough that they kept coming over. And so, we managed to finish it. And then I feel like some legacy games sort of overstay their welcome, and they feel like homework sort of towards the end. But not this one. Was excited to get it done. So, all right, cool. Number 5 on the list, Mechs versus Minions. So this is, of course, a contest, MrX's top 25 games of all time. We're posting these videos all through December, and all you have to do to enter in the contest is leave a comment on the YouTube video. So in this video, why don't you tell me what you think of Mechs versus Minions? If you haven't played Mechs versus Minions, what do you think about legacy or campaign style games? And if you don't think anything about any of that stuff, tell me what's your favorite, whatever entertainment property out there that has mechs in it. There's plenty of those at this point, right? I played Mech Warrior on the video games when I was a kid, right? That was good stuff. So anyway, All right, well, I'm Steven. That's John. We're from Just Got Played, and thanks for joining us.